So in this video, we're going to be discussing if Alibaba, the stock and the company, is in trouble now that Jack Ma has officially announced his retirement. He is one of the founders of the company, he is essentially the face of the company, and many consider him the reason that Alibaba became such a big success. But before you go and start selling your Alibaba stock, hear this out because it's not all bad news. So let's get into it. Guys, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to drop a huge like on this video. Let's try to get 100 likes on this video. Anyways, getting into it, Jack Ma actually announced late Friday night that on Monday he will be stepping down as the executive chairman of Alibaba, and he's actually going to start to focus his efforts now on philanthropy. By building Alibaba, he actually became one of the richest men in China and in the world, and he's worth over $36 billion right now. And he's kind of following in the same footsteps that Bill Gates did, where he built Microsoft and then retired, and now he's focusing on kind of charities and helping out and all that stuff. So Jack Ma is actually a very similar mindset here, and that's what he wants to focus his time, energy, and efforts on moving forward. But this isn't all bad news. This doesn't mean that Jack Ma is actually going to be disappearing from the company and he's not going to be associated with Alibaba anymore. In fact, it's the complete opposite. He's still going to remain on the board of directors, he's still going to have a say in the company, and he's still going to have his influence heard among the CEO, among all the people who make the decisions within Alibaba. Let's not forget here, and let's be real for a second, Alibaba is his creation. He's not going to let this thing fail. He's not going to see this thing go down to zero. He's going to do whatever he can to help the company continue growing. Also keep in mind that he's a billionaire, and if they ever need money, I don't think that he's going to hesitate to kind of go in there, put his own money into the company, and continue to help the company grow if it does encounter some struggles in the future. But speaking completely objectively, just looking at the company, looking at the fundamentals, I think Alibaba is actually at the point now where it really can't fail. Maybe a long time in the future, we look at it, maybe it does fail, but at least for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, as China continues to grow, I don't think Alibaba is going to have any problems continuing to grow as well. Looking at some facts, China's middle class continues to keep growing every single year. Online shopping continues to be a big trend throughout China. And guess who's at the forefront at all of this? It's Alibaba. Some say that JD.com is a big threat to Alibaba, especially as we continue on in the future and people earn more money in China. But in my opinion, I don't think that's really true. I think that Alibaba has established itself as the #1 player there, and people prefer shopping on Alibaba there as opposed to JD. In fact, as a general consensus, people in China consider JD as a #2 option. So they go to Alibaba first, look to see for stuff that they want or are interested in buying. If they can't find it on there, then they'll go on JD and look on there as a second option. So Alibaba actually reported their earnings recently. And guys, if you haven't seen their numbers, they are still on fire. They're full steam ahead, they're still growing. And if you haven't watched my video covering their earnings, make sure to check that out as well, because you'll see the absolute ridiculous, insane numbers that they posted this last quarter. So for example, cloud, which is something I'm watching closely in Alibaba, grew almost 100% year over year. Think about that. They doubled their cloud business year over year. And I think this will continue to keep going, maybe not as such a massive clip. Maybe it'll be around 80-90% in the next few years. But I think it'll continue to essentially double for the next few years, and they will become the AWS of China at some point. But now with Jack Ma stepping down from the business, this is kind of a fundamental change in the business. So the question is the stock still a good investment right now? Should you wait to buy some stock, or is it a good time to start selling your stock? Well, the one thing I try to teach you guys is that if you make a long-term investment in a company, if you've done your research in that company and you believe that this company is going to grow over the long term, you shouldn't necessarily be worried about short-term price movement unless something changes fundamentally with the company. So in this case, the face of the company is actually retiring, in which case I would consider this a fundamental change, and it does require us to reevaluate our position here. So the main question I gotta ask myself really is, can Alibaba continue its growth without Jack Ma? Or at least without Jack Ma as the face of the company? Now in my opinion, I think the answer is still yes. So now, although Jack Ma is or was the face of Alibaba, he was not the CEO of the company. In fact, in 2015, they assigned Daniel Zhang as the CEO of the company, and he has essentially helped lead the company to where it is at today. So when Mr. Zhang actually came in as CEO of Alibaba, the stock was actually struggling, and it had actually recently IPO'd in 2017, but the price movement was pretty weak. The stock hit a low actually of around $60 in around October of 2015. And this was still, yes, when he was as CEO, but it was still too early for his influence as CEO to play out in the company. But the following year is when we truly saw the influence of Zhang kick in, and we saw the kind of impact he has on the company with his business decisions. Over the next 2 years, essentially from 2015 to around 2018, the stock went from around $60 to around $210, which reflects the growth that it actually had in these last few years. Now, Zhang was at the forefront, he was kind of the one leading this, and he was the one involved in all of this growth. And the fact that he's still remaining as CEO and is still going to be running the company and day-to-day operations kind of gives me reassurance here that there's nothing really fundamentally changing with their day-to-day operations of the company. I think that he's a good CEO, he knows what he's doing, and he's actually leading the company to a good path and a good path of success. So in that aspect, I think that this is a good plus or a good positive to have still for the company. So now you know my stance on the company, and you're probably wondering what am I going to be doing with my investment in Alibaba. So for those of you that don't know, I actually got into the stock at around $120, in the $120 range, and I've been holding the stock since then, adding to my position since then, and it's been a good performer in my portfolio. I've not only held shares in the company, but throughout 2017, I actually played a lot of options on this company as well, so I've made quite a bit of good money on Alibaba. Now, as a quick segue, if you haven't joined the VIP group, guys, make sure to check that out. It's links in the description below. In there, I post my complete portfolio. You'll see my position in Alibaba. You'll see my weighting in Alibaba compared to the rest of my long-term holdings. You'll also see all the option plays that I make in different companies that could include Alibaba. And essentially, this is my way of giving full insight to you guys to show you exactly what I do on a day-to-day basis with my portfolios. If you're interested, like I said, link is in the description. So over the last few months, I have reduced my stake in Alibaba, and it's not my #1 stock anymore. If you were in the group, you would have found that out. You would have known exactly when I did this. But that being said, I'm not bearish on the company like you've heard from my talk in the last few minutes. I still completely believe in the business. I still believe in the kind of leaders of the business, like the CEO, for example. But with all the tension going on right now, I just wanted to reduce my stake in China, my exposure to China, just a little bit. The problem I see here is that even though the fundamentals are still very strong in these Chinese companies, including Alibaba, the market still continues to sell it off, and there's still a lot of fear around this. Now, you want to buy into fear, but I think that there's still a bit more downside to go, which is why I did reduce my stake, and I will continue to build up my stake once I see some more positive sentiment come back into the market. Now, what I want to do is actually jump over to the technical charts here for a second to discuss something. So we can see here that the stock actually came down and filled a gap last week that I was watching for quite a few months actually. It, however, broke through support, and that was a big support level that respected back from around 2015. Now, because of this, we are between a channel, and the next support I see is around $135, but there's another huge gap between 125 and 135. So I think that if the tariff talks keep continuing, that there's still a lot of uncertainty in the market. The market hates uncertainty. And we can almost certainly continue our trajectory downwards, come down, potentially bounce off support, or potentially fill this gap, and then possibly make a reversal to move higher. So again, what am I doing with Alibaba? I might continue reducing my stake in this company. Remember, I got in at around 120. I think the stock might actually go down to that price again, so I'd essentially be break even. But I do want to reduce my stake a little bit and reduce my exposure a little bit, possibly. Or I might even go in and pick up some put options to play the downside. This way I can still hold on to my shares, but I can still take advantage of the downside movement. I have a very strong feeling that we're actually going to come down to around $130, around that level, maybe a little below that. And this is where I'd want to load up again pretty big on the stock. If you want to see exactly what trade I make, exactly when I make this trade, again, the VIP group is exactly where you want to be. Links are in the comment section and description. So make sure to check that out. Now the big question is, what do I think is going to happen on Monday when the market opens? So I think that this news will cause some major volatility in Alibaba on Monday, and possibly even for the remainder of the week or month. We may open up red, we may have a big red day, we might actually go down significantly in the stock, but I do think the bulls will start coming in because even at these prices, there's a lot of value here in the stock. Also keep in mind that Alibaba is actually doing a massive buyback right now. They're spending around $6 billion on share buyback. So this will actually help stabilize the stock a little bit if there is some big sell-off that we do see. I'll also really be interested to see what analysts have to say on Monday when the markets open and all of this news is kind of official and it's out there. Because as we see right now, they're pretty bullish and with the 46% upside actually on Alibaba. And even if I look at the fundamentals of the company, like the PE ratio, we're sitting right now at around a 50 and we're sitting at a forward PE of around 21, which is crazy value considering that Alibaba is growing at incredible pace. And if you look at comparable companies like Amazon, their PEs are nowhere near as low as Alibaba. So this is actually a big reason why I'm still bullish on the company. If we continue to go lower, the PE is of course going to keep going lower and that's going to show even more value. And that's when I think we'll see a lot more value investors come into the stock. Anyways guys, that's pretty much my thoughts and my stance on the company and the stock. I'm really curious to hear what you think about Alibaba. Are you bearish on the company? Make sure to comment that down below and make sure to drop a huge like as well. Remember, we're going for 100 likes on this video. But either way guys, appreciate the support. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to invest positively and I'll see you in the next one.